The universe never selects the weak. It sharpens its chosen ones with storms meant to break others. They never saw you coming. They thought the shadows would keep them hidden forever, thought their whispered lies and veiled smiles would hold power over you for eternity. Their arrogance was their downfall, believing you were too blind to sense the knives behind their backs, too deaf to hear the universe roaring behind your heartbeat. But now they know. Now they feel that same terror they once fed you. The tables have turned, and their hands tremble where they once pointed fingers. Before we continue, like and subscribe to help spread this message to more of the chosen ones. Every like, every share is a signal to the universe and to YouTube that this truth matters, that this message reaches those who need to hear it. Together, we amplify the voices they tried to silence. See, this message isn't for everyone. This is for the ones the universe has marked, the ones they tried to crush under the weight of their schemes, the ones they wanted on their knees, miserable, begging for mercy. But who's begging now? Those same forces, those same energies that grinned in your face while plotting your ruin, they're the ones feeling the walls close in. They're haunted, not by ghosts, but by the power they failed to contain in you. You are chosen, not by chance, not by luck, by design. The universe doesn't make random moves. You were sculpted in silence, carved from storms, and stitched together with fire. They couldn't see it. They fought against you, thinking they were breaking a single person, but they were fighting the will of the cosmos itself. They tried to bury you under layers of doubt, making you question your light, making you believe you were alone. And that was your one mistake. Ever doubting that you were chosen, ever forgetting that stars don't ask permission to shine. But this is your wake-up call. The universe has always been in your corner, moving pieces behind the scenes, waiting for you to step into your power. And the ones who tried to block you, they're realizing now that they weren't fighting you. They were fighting the entire universe. And there is no war they can win against that. Their schemes exposed, their traps turned to dust, their power crumbling under the weight of your rise. They operated in shadows, confident you'd stay blind, smiling in your face while twisting the blade deeper behind your back. Their entire strategy was built on your silence, your submission. But the universe never intended for you to stay on your knees. The storms you endured weren't punishment. They were preparation. Remember this. A storm only fears the one who dances in its eye. You are that force. You are the reason the winds rage and the seas rise, not against you, but with you. You move with the universe, and nothing stands against that for long. Look at them now, the same ones who laughed at your pain, who celebrated your struggle. They're the ones haunted by your glow. Your light exposes them. It doesn't just illuminate, it burns. And the brighter you shine, the more they scramble, the more their shadows shrink. You are chosen. That fact alone unsettles them, keeps them awake at night, because they know, deep down, they were never the threat. You were. You always have been. So, are you ready to stand taller than ever? To feel every word hit deeper than the scars they tried to leave on you? If you've ever felt that fire in your chest, the one they couldn't snuff out, drop the number 77 in the comments right now. That's how the universe knows you're here, ready to rise higher, to own what was always yours. This isn't just another message. This is the echo of your awakening. Stay with me, because if you're truly one of the chosen, you won't be able to walk away from this. Let's begin. Number 1. Dancing with devils. How they orchestrated your fall and ended up setting themselves on fire. Those who build their thrones on the bones of the innocent will one day choke on the dust of their own ruins. Make no mistake, they designed your downfall. This wasn't just random hate or the occasional jab from jealous hearts. No, they built a whole machine around your destruction. Every move calculated, every smile sharpened into a blade, every handshake laced with venom. These weren't accidents. They were campaigns. They crafted blueprints to dismantle your spirit, piece by piece, hoping you'd never notice the strings tightening around your throat. Their mission? Strip you of your peace, poison your joy, drain your confidence until all that was left was a hollow shell of what you could have been. They saw your light before you even knew it was there, saw the fire simmering beneath your skin, the potential clawing to the surface, and it terrified them. Because when the universe chooses someone, it's not subtle. Even when you tried to dim yourself, they felt it. That unspoken power, that gravitational pull in your soul. It made their demons restless. And so, they came for you. With whispers, with betrayal, with schemes masked as friendship. They played chess while you thought it was checkers. But here's the kicker. They weren't fighting you. No, they declared war on the universe itself. Every time they plotted against you, they went toe-to-toe with the forces that molded you, the same cosmic hands that shaped stars and carved mountains. They thought they could beat the system, rig the game. But the universe doesn't take kindly to those who spit in its face. And you, yes, you, here's where the scolding comes in. You doubted. You let their noise drown out your truth. You let their strategies plant seeds of self-doubt deep in your chest, made you question your worth, your path. How dare you? How dare you doubt the light that centuries of cosmic alignment placed in you? You forgot who you were, thinking they had more power than the universe that stands behind you. A chosen one doubting their purpose is like a lion fearing the opinions of sheep. And yet, there you were, second-guessing, shrinking, dimming your fire because their attacks felt so overwhelming. You let the fog they created blind you from the stars that were always guiding you. But listen closely. They weren't just playing with you. They were playing with the system, tampering with the flow of the universe, setting traps where they thought fate couldn't touch them. But fate has a funny way of circling back. They spent all that time, all that effort, building intricate webs just for the universe to light them ablaze. You were never meant to stay down. The universe doesn't pick the weak. It doesn't choose those who fold under pressure. It picks warriors, survivors, forces of nature. They wanted you on your knees, miserable. But now they're the ones gasping for air as the universe turns the tides. Now they're the ones watching everything they built on your pain crumble beneath their feet. Still, I know you're asking, why me? Why did they come so hard for me? The answer is simple. The weight of what you carry scared them. The power in your bones, the destiny etched into your soul, it shook them. They sensed the universe aligning behind you, felt it in the way doors opened where they shouldn't, in the way storms seemed to sharpen your edges instead of dull them. You were never fragile. You were forged. They saw that too late. And here's what really eats at them. No matter how coordinated their attacks, no matter how precise their cruelty, they still couldn't break you. You're here, breathing, rising. That's the real revenge. Every breath you take is a testament to their failure. Every step forward a reminder that they couldn't kill what the universe ordained. So hold your head up. Stop doubting. Stand in the fullness of what you are, because this isn't just survival, it's domination. The universe aligned itself for you, and they were foolish enough to fight against it. Let them taste the ashes of their own schemes. You are chosen, and now they know it too. Number 2. Wolves in silk. How they smiled in your face while plotting your collapse. The sharpest daggers are the ones draped in silk and handed to you with a smile. This is the part that stings the most, isn't it? The betrayal dressed in friendship. The hand that held yours while pushing you toward the edge. The soft voice whispering encouragement while secretly mapping out your destruction. They weren't just enemies. No, that would have been too easy to spot. They were architects of deceit, crafting entire personas, identities, wearing masks so flawless that even the universe paused for a moment. But you trusted, and that's where they struck. They wore the masks of friendship, painted with the colors you needed most. They studied you like scholars poring over sacred texts, learning your vulnerabilities, memorizing your dreams, your fears, the exact frequency your soul vibrated on. They mirrored your essence, becoming the reflection you thought you needed. The perfect confidant, the mentor who seemed to understand, the lover who spoke your language so fluently it felt destined. All of it was a performance, a masterpiece of manipulation. You thought they were your shelter, your safe space, and that's the cruelty of it. They knew you needed support. They knew you carried battles unseen, that your heart craved connection. They didn't just attack your light. They disguised themselves as the ones who would protect it. They positioned themselves as your sanctuary, all while sharpening their blades behind closed doors. Not all monsters hide in the dark. Some dance with you in the daylight. They clapped for your wins, but if you listened close enough, you'd hear the bitterness in the echo. They offered comfort, but only to lull you deeper into their web. Their envy wasn't loud, it was patient, deliberate. It sat beneath the surface, bubbling just enough to remind them of the power you carried, a power they could never hold. Because that's what this was really about. They hated you for the light you didn't even realize you were radiating, your confidence, your resilience, your connection to the universe. You didn't earn it in their eyes, you simply were it. And that fact, it burned them from the inside out. They could mimic your words, your vibe, but never your essence, never your alignment with forces greater than either of you. So they did what cowards do. They built masks. They cloaked their loathing in affection. They smiled as they studied your wounds, waiting for the perfect moment to press their fingers into the softest spots. Every compliment was a prelude to a betrayal. Every "I'm proud of you" was laced with resentment. And while you opened yourself, shared your dreams, trusted them with the fragile parts of your soul, they documented it all, turned your truths into ammunition. And here's where it gets ugly. You let them. You, the chosen one, the one the universe forged in fire, forgot who you were. You looked at the mask and called it friend. You saw the act and called it love. You convinced yourself that the universe must have placed these people in your life for a reason. But here's the real reason. They were the test. The storm that was supposed to sharpen your instincts, not dull them. The universe doesn't send angels to chosen ones. It sends storms to teach you how to stand firmer. A chosen one's biggest lesson isn't in fighting battles. It's in seeing who is holding the sword. But don't hang your head. They were good. Damn good. Masters of disguise. They wore their masks so well that even the stars seemed to tilt their heads. And you were too busy surviving, too busy carrying the weight of your path, to notice the cracks. But now you see it, don't you? Every memory, every moment, replaying with the clarity you wished you had back then. You see how their words twisted just enough to plant doubt, how they celebrated you, just not too much, how they comforted you, but kept you dependent. They didn't want to see you rise. They wanted to keep you tethered, convinced that without them, you'd collapse. But here's the twist. They failed. They couldn't hold you down forever because the universe never stops moving for its chosen ones. Eventually, their masks slipped. The smiles cracked. The applause stopped, just short. And the truth came roaring in like a tidal wave, washing away every illusion they built. Now they stand exposed, stripped of their facades. No more masks to hide behind, no more roles to play. And they hate you for that even more, because you saw them. Because after all the effort, all the manipulation, you're still here, breathing, glowing, rising. And what about them? They're left clutching at ashes, haunted by the reflection of the person they pretended to be. That false friend, that fake mentor, that counterfeit lover. They have to live with knowing they were never enough. Not for you, not for the universe, not even for themselves. The hardest pill for the masked to swallow is knowing the light they tried to mimic still blinds them. Let that fuel you. Let it remind you that being chosen isn't just about surviving attacks. It's about recognizing who can stand in your light and who needs to hide from it. You were never meant to share your fire with those who envy the warmth. And the universe, it's not done aligning for you. Every betrayal was just a setup for a greater rise. Every mask ripped away reveals not just the enemy, but the deeper truth of who you are. They wanted you broken, desperate, begging on your knees. But now they're the ones begging for relevance, scrambling to rebuild the illusions you burned to the ground. So, rise, without apology, without hesitation. You are chosen, and they will never wear a mask convincing enough to hide from that. Number 3, golden masks and rotting souls. When the facade cracks and the truth comes flooding in. The brighter they painted their halo, the darker the shadow they cast. They thought they could play God in your life. They perched themselves on thrones they built from hollow words and hollower hearts, preaching wisdom they never lived, dispensing guidance they never followed. These self-proclaimed gurus, these so-called enlightened souls, they wrapped themselves in robes of spiritual superiority, convinced that the glow of their performance would blind you forever. Who could question them? Who would dare? When someone speaks in sacred tones, drops pearls of wisdom wrapped in spiritual jargon, dresses their poison in prayers, who would suspect that beneath all that glitter lies something rotten. But here's the thing about the chosen ones. You might take your time, but when your discernment kicks in, it hits like a freight train. You don't just see the mask, you feel the cracks. And that's exactly what they never counted on. They underestimated your spiritual senses. They thought you were just another follower, another soul desperate for guidance, clinging to their every word like gospel. They counted on your hunger for growth, for enlightenment, as their shield. But what they didn't realize is that the universe never sends its chosen ones into the world without the tools to survive the battlefield. A lion may walk among sheep, but it never forgets the scent of blood. And you smelled it, the decay beneath their polished words, the rot hidden behind those crafted smiles. At first, it was subtle. A flicker in their eyes when they thought no one was watching, a slip in their tone when the mask grew heavy. They preached light, but moved like shadows. They spoke of freedom while tightening the chains, and you, slowly but surely, began to see it. Their performance wasn't just about fooling you, it was their lifeline, their only chance to stay relevant, to feed off your energy, your trust. They positioned themselves as the gatekeepers of wisdom, the ones who could unlock your potential while secretly fearing the very power you held. Because if you ever fully woke up, if you ever truly stepped into your light, their entire house of cards would collapse. And that's exactly what started to happen. The first crack in a mask is the moment the wearer meets someone who sees too much. You saw too much, felt too much. You caught the inconsistencies, the hypocrisy woven between their grand speeches. They spoke of humility but craved control. They preached compassion but twisted the knife behind the scenes. Their words were light, their energy was poison, and you could taste the difference. They didn't anticipate that level of discernment. They never thought the one they targeted would evolve past the need for their approval. But you did. You grew. You listened, not just to their words, but to the energy humming underneath. You trusted your instincts, that inner pull from the universe that whispered, "Something's off." And that whisper turned into a roar. Their first catastrophic mistake, believing their facade was unbreakable. Their second, underestimating your capacity to see through it. Because you weren't just any soul walking this earth. You are chosen, and chosen ones don't just survive. They awaken, they rise, they burn away illusions with the fire of their becoming. Once your eyes opened, there was no going back. Every smile they faked, every gesture of goodwill, now exposed for what it really was. A shield for their insecurity, a mask to hide the fact that they never had the power they claimed. The universe gives the chosen ones X-ray vision, but it only activates when you're ready to stop needing the lie. And that's what happened. You stopped needing their validation. You stopped seeking their guidance because you realized they weren't standing above you. They were clawing desperately to keep you beneath them. Their wisdom, stolen words from others, repackaged, wrapped in ribbons of ego. Their love, conditional. Their support, a leash. But the leash snapped, and now they stand there, exposed, their cracks no longer hidden beneath the glow of performance. The pedestal they built crumbles beneath their feet, because it wasn't made of truth. It was made of lies, stitched together with envy and fear. Look at them now, scrambling, desperate, trying to patch the cracks with new masks, new roles, hoping you'll forget what you've seen. but you can't unsee it. The universe doesn't let you unsee the truth once it's been revealed. And here's what haunts them the most. You didn't confront them. You didn't need to. You outgrew them. Your silence was louder than any accusation. Your rise was the proof they feared. They wanted you questioning yourself, dependent on their approval. But you turned inward, listened to the universe, and found everything they claimed to offer was already within you. Nothing terrifies the false more than watching someone find the real within themselves. So now they beg in silence, not for your forgiveness, but for relevance, for a way back into your light. But that door, locked, sealed by the universe itself, because you've outgrown the facade, the illusion, the chains they tried to wrap around your soul. And don't you ever forget this. The power of being chosen is not just survival, it's evolution. It's the ability to see through the pretty lies, the polished masks, and know exactly who stands before you. You don't need their crowns, you don't need their thrones. You are the light they tried to mimic. Let them crumble. Let them choke on the dust of their own collapse. The cracks in their facade aren't your problem. They're the consequences of playing God in the life of someone chosen by the universe itself. And the next time they try to wear that mask around you, just smile, because you already know how the story ends. Number 4. Surgical strikes, when they went for the kill and missed the soul. If you aim for the heart of the chosen, be prepared to miss and fear what rises from the wound. This wasn't some half-hearted attempt to knock you off balance. No, this was a full-scale assault, a calculated, merciless operation. They didn't come swinging wildly in the dark. They studied you, took their time, scoped out the landscape of your soul like hunters stalking prey. They weren't satisfied with just bruising you. They wanted to obliterate you. They knew exactly where to aim, not at your armor, at the gaps between the plates. They found the soft spots, the insecurities you tried to bury, the fears you never spoke aloud, and they sharpened their weapons with precision. The criticism didn't hit at random. It was crafted, like poison-tipped arrows, meant to pierce your self-worth, your identity, your spirit. At first, it was subtle. A side comment here, a backhanded compliment there. Small enough to make you question yourself, wonder if you were being too sensitive. But the chosen ones know the enemy never stops at subtle. When they smelled blood, they escalated. The words got sharper, the jabs more blatant. They didn't just criticize your actions, they tore into who you are. Your confidence under fire, your creativity targeted, your connections, your reputation, your credibility. Nothing was off limits. They didn't just want to break your heart, they wanted to fracture your reflection. You saw it happening, felt it, but that's the cruelty of a precision strike. It makes you question if you're the problem. They planted seeds of doubt in your mind, watered them with subtle digs, and waited for them to sprout. They reframed your intentions, twisted your words until you almost believed them yourself. That's how deep they wanted to cut. This wasn't just an attack, it was spiritual demolition. They wanted to bulldoze your foundation, leave you standing in the rubble of your own self-worth. Because a chosen one standing strong, that's a threat they can't afford. But a chosen one questioning their own worth, that's a victory for them. That was their goal, total collapse. But here's the truth they never understood. Chosen ones are forged in fire. You don't crumble the way they expected. They launched their missiles. Sure, they'd leave nothing behind but dust. But dust is where stars are born. And every shot they fired only stirred the universe around you, only called the forces aligned with you to stand taller, stronger. The universe sharpens its chosen ones with the blades meant to gut them. You weren't just under attack, you were being refined. They thought they could bury you in doubt, but the universe doesn't bury its chosen ones. It plants them, and you grew. Every insult, every piece of venom disguised as advice became the soil for your rise. Look back at it now. Every word they used against you, designed to fracture your confidence, is now just another brick in the foundation they tried to destroy. They called you too much. You became more. They told you to tone it down. You turned it up. They questioned your worth. You redefined it. And now, what do they have? Their full-scale assault failed. Their precision strikes missed the target, because you weren't the target at all. The universe was, and no one, no matter how calculated, how venomous, can win that fight. But let's be clear, this isn't just about survival. Survival is the bare minimum for a chosen one. You didn't just make it through, you rose, stronger, louder, sharper, and the ones who came for you, now they choke on the dust of your elevation, watching as you take the very things they tried to destroy, your confidence, your creativity, your voice, and use them as weapons in your arsenal. The assault didn't break you, it baptized you in fire. So the next time they come for you, and they will, because the light of the chosen always attracts the shadows, remember this: their greatest weapon is your own doubt. The moment you stop feeding it, they lose. The war ends. They wanted total spiritual demolition. They got total spiritual evolution instead. And that's their nightmare. Number 5. When the universe pulled the trigger, awakening the defense they never saw coming. The chosen don't need to fight back. The universe fights through them. See, they thought they had you cornered. They believed their assaults, their manipulations, their surgical strikes had left you hollowed out, defenseless. They mistook your silence for surrender, your kindness for weakness. They didn't know what they were really playing with. They were chipping away at the surface, but beneath that, beneath the scars, beneath the doubt, beneath the ache, there was something ancient, something that sleeps until it's called. And they called it. With every betrayal, every jab, every lie whispered behind your back, they pulled the trigger. They poked a sleeping giant. Because the chosen ones aren't just protected, they're armed. The universe doesn't send its warriors out naked. It equips them with something far more dangerous than anger or revenge. It gifts them with divine discernment. The kind of knowing that doesn't come from books or sermons, but from the core of your being, the part of you tethered directly to the infinite. At first, it's just a flicker, a faint pulse in the back of your mind. Something feels off. The words they speak don't sit right. The energy beneath the smile stings like acid. You try to brush it off because you want to believe them. You want to believe the best. But the universe doesn't play games. It keeps nudging, keeps blaring that cosmic alarm louder until you can't ignore it. And that's what happened. That's when your defense system powered up. The greatest shield is not forged in steel. It's forged in knowing. Suddenly, you felt it. Their energy wasn't just uncomfortable, it was wrong, like nails on a chalkboard against the melody of your soul. The words that once soothed you now tasted bitter. The gestures that once felt like support now felt like chains. What used to seem like isolated incidents, one betrayal here, a sharp comment there, connected into one ugly, deliberate pattern. And you saw it, the whole game laid out in front of you. The fog they worked so hard to keep you in, it cleared. And standing in the light of that clarity, you realized they never stood a chance. They never accounted for your awakening. They never expected you to remember who you are. The chosen don't wake up. They reawaken what never died. And when that happens, when your divine defense kicks in, it's not about swinging back harder, it's about seeing through the masks, seeing through the schemes, and knowing with bone-deep certainty that no matter how well they plan, no matter how sharp their words or how subtle their attacks, they can't touch what's real in you. The universe starts moving differently around you. The signs become clearer. The gut feelings sharpen into knowing. People who once seemed untouchable reveal their cracks. Conversations shift. Relationships you clung to dissolve, not because you failed, but because they were never aligned with your destiny. And those enemies, the ones who masqueraded as friends, mentors, lovers, they feel it. They know when the energy shifts. They sense the door closing, the power slipping from their hands. They feel the weight of the universe leaning behind you, and it terrifies them. A chosen one's silence is the loudest warning the universe can give. Because you don't need to lash out. You don't need to explain. Your very presence becomes untouchable, and their tactics, their lies, their manipulations bounce off the shield they triggered into existence. You don't just defend, you transcend. And the most brutal part, you didn't even have to raise a finger. The universe did it for you. The same force they challenged, the same system they tried to rig, stood up, realigned, and made it crystal clear. This one is protected, and that's a war they cannot win. So as your divine defense powered up, their grip weakened, their words lost their sting, their schemes unraveled, because they weren't just fighting you anymore. They were fighting against the infinite, the eternal. And now, here you stand, wiser, sharper, shielded not by walls of bitterness, but by truth. Their worst mistake, thinking they could play in the shadows forever. But the light in you, it doesn't just illuminate, it burns. Let that burn be your legacy. Number 6. The pyramid scheme of poison, when you became the target of their entire ecosystem of hate. When the chosen awaken, the whole web unravels, and every spider is exposed. You weren't just fighting one person. No, that would have been too easy. You were standing in the middle of a hierarchy of negativity, a whole pyramid scheme of poison, and you didn't even know it. They built it around you, an ecosystem designed to suffocate your light, brick by brick, breath by breath. At first, it was just a feeling, right? That itch in the back of your mind, the conversations that didn't sit right, the offhand remarks that replayed louder than they should have. But the chosen ones, you aren't built to ignore those signs for long. The universe wired you to see, even when you don't want to. And that's exactly what started happening. Conversations you'd brushed off suddenly echoed with clarity. Faces you trusted began to blur into something unfamiliar. Those isolated incidents you convinced yourself were misunderstandings snapped together like puzzle pieces, forming a picture so ugly it almost stole your breath. And in that moment, you saw it all. The higher your perception rises, the clearer the blueprint of betrayal becomes. They didn't just come for you one-on-one. No, they built a system, a whole machine designed for one purpose: to tear you down. At the top of it sat the manipulator, the puppet master, the one who orchestrated every whisper, every sideways glance, every cold shoulder you couldn't explain. They recruited others, weaving them into this network of negativity, stringing them along with lies, half-truths, toxic loyalty. You were at the center of it all, the sun they tried to eclipse. But that's the thing about the chosen ones. No matter how many clouds they gather, the sun always breaks through. And when your higher perception activated, when that divine sight kicked in, oh, it shocked them. They never expected you to see this deep, this clearly. They thought their web was foolproof. They never imagined you'd pull back and see the whole design, the hierarchy they built to destroy you. They played chess, but you were the board. Your spiritual sight didn't just catch the obvious. It penetrated every layer of their deception, right down to the core. You saw through the fake smiles, the false alliances, saw the way they played their roles, pretending to be separate while moving in perfect sync. Every lie, every manipulation exposed, and they felt it. The moment your vision sharpened, the entire system started to shake. Because when you see the structure, when you really see it, you know how to dismantle it. You know which threads to pull to bring the whole rotten tower crashing down. But this wasn't just about the manipulator at the top. Oh no, there were layers, minions recruited to carry out the dirty work. Some played willing accomplices, feeding off the drama, the destruction. Others were pawns, caught in the web without realizing they'd been drafted into your takedown. But all of them, complicit. Every pyramid of hate collapses when the foundation refuses to hold the weight. And once you saw it, there was no unseeing it. The clarity hit hard. Every situation you second-guessed, every moment you doubted yourself, it all made sense. It wasn't random. It was engineered, carefully, methodically, like clockwork. But here's what they didn't plan for. Chosen ones don't crumble under clarity. We rise. You didn't fold. You didn't retreat. You stood taller. And that shook them. Because their system, it only worked when you stayed confused, isolated, second-guessing your worth. The moment your sight cleared, their power dissolved. Their whole strategy relied on you staying in the dark, playing defense. But now, you're standing at the top of the ruins they built, looking down, seeing every cog in the machine. And they know it. They built an army to break you, but forgot you were a universe. The toxic loyalty they relied on, crumbling. The pawns they used, questioning. The manipulator at the top, scrambling. Because nothing terrifies a manipulator more than the target seeing the game. Once you understand the hierarchy, you take back the power. And don't think they aren't feeling it. The moment your energy shifted, the whole ecosystem of hate started to collapse. They tried to keep you at the center, but the universe pulled you out, set you apart. And without you there, they're left with nothing but the rot they created. This isn't just about exposure, it's about liberation. You've broken free of the web. And them? They're left spinning in circles, trapped in the same cycle they tried to trap you in. Let this be your truth. The chosen one doesn't just escape the system, they burn it down. And now they know. Number 7. The cult of betrayal. how they united in hate to keep their own darkness hidden. When the weak can't shine, they huddle in the shadows and call it loyalty. You weren't just dealing with betrayal, you were standing at the center of a cult, a twisted congregation bound not by love, not by shared purpose, but by their shared hatred of you. Their loyalty didn't stem from respect. It wasn't about connection or common values. It was about survival in a toxic ecosystem where the fastest route to acceptance, to approval, was attacking you, undermining you, feeding the fire of betrayal that their ringleader ignited. This wasn't a random collection of individuals turning against you. This was orchestrated, deliberate. The central figure, the puppet master, demanded allegiance, and the currency for that loyalty was your downfall. You became the sacrificial lamb, the common enemy, the glue that held their crumbling house of cards together. They couldn't elevate themselves, so they united in tearing you down. When they can't rise, they rally in ruin. It was sickening the way they fed off each other. One whispered doubt about you, another chimed in with a twisted story. Someone else shared a private moment you trusted them with, served up as ammunition. Each act of betrayal scored them points, bought them favor with the one at the top. It was a game, a cruel sport where the only rule was this: hurt you or be cast out. Genuine connection. Forget it. Anyone who dared speak light into your name, anyone who showed you kindness or defended you, became a target themselves. First, it was subtle, a sideways glance, a cold shoulder. But if they didn't fall in line, they faced exclusion, isolation. The unspoken rule was clear: join the hunt or be hunted. And they crumbled under that pressure. One by one, they bowed their heads, silenced their conscience, traded their integrity for a seat at a poisoned table. They betrayed you not because they hated you, but because they feared losing their place in the circle. They chose comfort in the cult over courage in the truth. But here's the truth that shook the very foundation of their little empire. This was never really about you. You weren't the root of their sickness. You were just the mirror, the reflection they couldn't stand to face. Your light, your strength, your alignment with the universe. It exposed their shadows. And instead of facing that darkness, they deflected it onto you. The puppet master, the one pulling the strings, knew exactly what they were doing. They made you the scapegoat, the lightning rod for all the unresolved pain, jealousy, and self-loathing swirling inside that group. They turned you into the common enemy so no one would look too closely at them. Because if the focus ever shifted, if the curtain ever got pulled back, they knew their entire facade would crumble. The cult wasn't built to destroy you. It was built to protect the rot at its core. But you saw through it. The fog lifted, and you recognized the system for what it was: a desperate power play by a hollow soul, terrified of being exposed. And once you saw that truth, their grip started to slip. You realized it wasn't personal. Their war against you was just a distraction from the war they refused to fight within themselves. And that's what they never wanted you to know. They wanted you entangled in the hurt, lost in the betrayal, drowning in the isolation. But instead, you stood back and you saw. You saw the hierarchy of fear they built. Saw the way they used you as a shield to keep their own demons hidden. The chosen one's clarity is the cult's collapse. And now, They feel it, the foundation crumbling beneath them. Because you've stepped out of their circle, and without you there to blame, to focus their venom on, they have nowhere left to hide. Their darkness starts turning on itself, eating them from the inside out. Let them tear each other apart. Let them scramble for new targets. You've risen above it. The cult of betrayal, the hierarchy of negativity. It only worked when you stayed blind. But now you see, now you know. And they know too. They know the game is over. Number 8. When the universe demands payment, the awakening of cosmic justice. The scales of the universe do not forget. They only wait for the right moment to tip. It hit you like a punch to the gut, didn't it? The realization that people you once held close, those you trusted, cared for, maybe even loved, had sold out their connection with you for scraps of approval from a manipulator. They betrayed not just you, they betrayed themselves. They silenced their own knowing, smothered their own positive experiences, turned their backs on everything real between you, all for a seat at a table that served them nothing but illusions. They threw away truth for validation, tossed aside integrity for belonging. And for what? For the hollow praise of someone so consumed by their own darkness that they couldn't recognize light if it blinded them. But what they didn't realize, what none of them grasped, was that this wasn't just some petty human game they were playing. This wasn't just gossip and lies and backstabbing. No, they stepped onto a battlefield they couldn't even see. They triggered forces they never understood. Because when you come for a chosen one, you aren't just throwing shade at a person. You're challenging the very universe that stands behind them. They waged war against a storm and expected to stay dry. Every betrayal, every slanderous word, every act of spiritual warfare they directed at you didn't just vanish into thin air. The universe keeps receipts. Every action, every intention logged into the cosmic ledger. And the universe, it's patient, it's precise. It doesn't strike in anger, it strikes in balance. They thought they were getting away with it, thought their masks would hold, thought their lies would shield them from consequence. But the universe doesn't forget, and the price, it always comes due. For every stone cast, the universe sends a mountain in return. They risked everything coming for you. They launched attacks against someone who walked with unseen shields, cosmic armor forged in the fires of purpose and destiny. They thought they could breach that, thought they could dismantle your spirit with words, with schemes, with alliances built on sand. But what they really did? They triggered the ancient law of balance. They broke universal law, and breaking that carries consequences that no human scheme can outrun. Every intention they fired your way accrued spiritual debt. Every destructive thought, every poisonous word built interest in that cosmic ledger. And the thing about universal debt? It multiplies, it festers, it waits, and when the time comes, it collects. You didn't even have to fight back. That's the beauty of being chosen. The universe fights for you. The manipulations, the lies, the betrayals. They thought they were clever, but the universe is ruthless in its justice. It doesn't care about appearances. It doesn't care how they mask their darkness in light. When the scales tip, the reckoning is unavoidable. Cosmic justice doesn't miss. It arrives when they least expect it and demands everything they thought they stole. And that's what's happening now. The universe is calling in the debt. Those who betrayed you, who traded their own souls for acceptance, are feeling the tremors. Their world is cracking. The illusions are dissolving. The manipulator at the center? Their own lies are closing in, suffocating them. The same poison they spread is now eating away at their foundation. This isn't about revenge. The chosen don't need revenge. This is about balance, restoration. Every attack they launched at you only strengthened the shields around you, only deepened your connection to the universe. And every shot they fired, it ricocheted, waiting for the perfect moment to return. And now, it's returning. The cosmic forces they triggered are awake, moving, rearranging the board. The manipulators, the betrayers, they're realizing too late that they were never above the law that governs the unseen. They thought they were safe behind their schemes, but you were never alone. The universe walks with the chosen, and no one escapes that. What they gave, they receive, multiplied. Let them feel it. Let the cosmic justice unfold. This is their reckoning. And you stand untouched, shielded, rising higher than ever, knowing the universe never forgets. And now you see it. All of it. The betrayal, the schemes, the war they waged behind smiles and handshakes. But here you stand, not broken, not begging, rising. The universe fought through you, shielded you, and now cosmic justice is sweeping through the ruins they built. If this message lit that fire inside you, like, subscribe, and drop the number 77 in the comments to claim your power. Share this with another chosen one who needs to hear it, because every share amplifies this truth, and every voice raised signals the universe that the awakened ones are here, stronger than ever.